Good. We are ready.
Excellent. Good morning and good evening. My name is Enoch Wong from Tsinghua University. Welcome to the third webinar of the China-Chile Week in celebrating the 50th anniversary of China-Chile diplomatic relations. This entire program is co-hosted by University of Chile, the Catholic University of Chile, as well as Tsinghua University. If you're joining us for the first webinar, we have two wonderful webinars that we had on Monday and Tuesday, one on economics and one on international relations. And this particular webinar 3, the topic of today is China-Chile online education dialogue, envisioning a shared future for higher education. To put you in context, I'm just going to say a few words. I just want to borrow from the rector of University of Chile in the opening ceremony. He mentioned two keywords. Internationalization is fundamental. Transdisciplinarity is essential. And the China-Chile relationship is going to be a productive one in exchanging a relationship between the two nations. I think this marks a wonderful context of why we need to be here. And particularly when the vice president and provost of Tsinghua University mentioned, this is not just a friendship and relationship, it can be life-saving too. When the medical school of the Catholic University of Chile partnered with the Beijing Tsinghua Chang'an Hospital in developing a life-saving medical procedure and help to combat the pandemics. But of course, online education has been in the mix of all this, and we cannot wait to have a further conversation for you during this webinar. In this webinar, it's briefly divided into 3 different themes. Excuse me. In the first theme, we will review our past. We will look into the pre-COVID era, which for some of us, it might seem like a long time ago. But in the first section, we will be reviewing our past, how we transitioned from the pre-COVID to the current, the COVID era that we're in. In the second section, we will look at our present now, how we are transitioning from the COVID to what some of us might call the new normal. And last but not least, a very, very exciting part as well, to wrap us off in envisioning a shared future. We look into our future, how we transition beyond the post-COVID into the future for higher education. So this is a wonderful agenda, and we cannot wait to kickstart. And to help us to kickstart with some opening and welcoming remarks, we have 2 wonderful individuals. I would like to first welcome the Director of International Relations at the University of Chile, Professor Vera, for opening remarks. Professor Vera.
Thank you very much. And very, very nice summary, Enoch, you gave us about the context of this webinar. And I would like to add that it's probably going to be the most exciting thing to talk, not only about the issues in abstract, but very related to our experience in the last month. As you were mentioning, we had 2 weeks of fantastic experiment between with classes from Chinese universities to our students in Chile. And then the following week, 3 courses given by professors from University of Chile and heard by audience in China. And actually, in the third panel today, we will have the testimony of our students that have participated there and that have been very active on online experiments in this year, as well with the Association of Pacific Rim Universities, with University of Chile has already had the experience this semester. And we have already found very interesting things. One of them is that we always thought that moving courses from Spanish into English was going to be something very difficult and a big barrier. And amazingly enough, our results of 1 semester teach us that when the Chilean students are talking to other students who speak English as a second language as well, it's a very symmetric situation, and consequently is not an emotional barrier. and consequently they can concentrate on the academic content pretty well. This is a very interesting discovery, and I don't think that we have too much evidence of that before. I mean, and this is because this year has been an extraordinary phenomenon. Of course, the pandemic has been a most difficult situation for the whole world, but at the same time, it has created opportunities that we would not have thought a year ago. And in terms of the impulse and the momentum it has given to online education, to telemedicine, and to a lot of remote activities. The technology was there, was probably there 10 years ago, but we didn't have a situation that forced us to use it in a creative way and in a very universal way as well. Nowadays, doing a meeting, it's so natural to invite people who are in the other part of the planet, and before that didn't happen. So it's a very special situation. And I think that the way that this panel has been structured will be very, very nice to share the experiences, how we have all lived. That's why we're very happy to have from the Chilean side also not only University of Chile's experience, but Católica and Concepción, as I mentioned. And we will also be hearing from China, Tsinghua, and Peking, and Zhejiang, and Jiao Tong, your partners in China as well. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and it's very exciting, not only what we have done and what we are discussing today, but we're also looking into the future. And we can look in a very optimistic way for the next 50 years of relation between Chile and China. We will not be there, but maybe our students will be in the 100th anniversary when that happens. But we are now really building that future, and that's very exciting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Vera. And of course, with the advance of medicine, we all hope we're all going to be there for the 100th anniversary of the two great nations as well. Thank you so much. And helping us to set the tone in pointing to the power of internationalization and exchange as well. Thank you so much, Professor Vera. I would like to welcome another mastermind behind this exchange. She is the director of Latin America Center at Tsinghua University, Professor Chen Taotao. Professor.
Thank you, Igno. And thank the Eduardo's wonderful opening remarks. And dear Ms. Rosa Deves, Vice President of University of Chile, dear Eduardo again, the Director of International Office, University of Chile, dear Ms. Wang Xiaoxiao, Associate Dean of Office of Lifelong Education Administration and Associate Dean of Undergraduate Academic Affairs Office, and all my friends in Chile and in China, good morning and good evening. Actually, I'm anxious to get into this webinar. It will be a very interesting discussion. Actually, or quite frankly, I did not like online education beforehand. I still have a clear memory that in February 3rd, just 2 weeks ago before the new semester began, when Dr. Qiu Yong, the president of Tsinghua University, asked all the faculty members to move every course online because of the pandemic. I did not like it. But afterwards, after talking to my student for 2 months in my house, in front of my computer, I start to feel I like it. It is not only because I finally completed my teaching task under such a dreadful situation. I feel magic. I feel I do enjoy it. A month ago, when we started to design the joint activity for celebrating 50th anniversary of China and Chile diplomatic relationship, Xiaoxiao, the leading person in Tsinghua University for online education for so many years, she suggested that we could do a joint remote testing courses together with University of Chile. I feel fantastic. And when I forwarded this idea to Eduardo, he felt excited too, and he said, let's do it. And then that's how we have several courses from both sides going on very beautifully from China to Chile and from Chile to China, right? You have already experienced very well. So I should congratulate Xiaoxiao and her distinguished colleagues from all the Allianced Chinese University, and Eduardo and your wonderful team in University of Chile for your achievement, a great achievement for the excellent courses in the previous couple of weeks. Actually, this fantastic experience pushed me to think. I feel that sometimes life is hard, but life is fair. It it closes a door because of pain, but it opens a window of new hope. I could imagine that with this new approach, we could do a lot more in future. And I do believe for China and Chile, Tsinghua and our dear Alliance Chinese universities, together with University of Chile and your dear Alliance Chile universities, you will lead the innovation of online education now and in future. And your joint leadership on this road will begin or will be strengthened from today's discussion. I sincerely wish today's webinar a big success. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Professor Chen, for your remarks. And more importantly, thank you so much to all the faculty and students for the let's do it attitude, which help us to accelerate this online education movement. However, for the first section, I would like to invite the administrator to share about the online education path. So without further ado, I would like to move on to our first sub-theme of this webinar. It is about our past. It's about how we transitioned from our pre-COVID into the COVID. And there will be 4 university administrators from University of Chile, Zhejiang University, University of Concepcion, and Shanghai Jiao Tong University to share their insights with us with a 6-minute presentation. And then we'll have a brief 10 minutes panel. So I would like to ask each of the presenter, if you are going to share the presentation, have them ready for the screen sharing and make sure you are muted before the presentation as well. These are also always useful reminders, regardless of how many Zoom meetings we have been in. So without further ado, I would like to welcome the Deputy Director of Undergraduate Affairs at the University of Chile, Professor Carlos Rilling, for his sharing. Professor Rilling.
Thank you very much, Enoch, and everyone, and thank you for this wonderful invitation. I'm going to share my screen. Please confirm me if you see it correctly. And I will try to summarize in 6 minutes something that seems to have taken years. And I have to speak about the past, about what happened to us in the 16th of March, the day when we decided and we had to decide to go completely online. So trying to address this in the same structure of the panel, I selected 3 challenges we had many more, but I selected 3 challenges we had to face in this transition from pre-COVID to COVID, something that seems very, very far away in time. One of the first challenges we had to face, and it's something, it's part of the essence of the university, was equity and connectivity. The University of Chile has a very strong commitment with equity and inclusion, especially in the student area. And we understand that universities and college campuses equalize social inequalities for their students. We provide a baseline of tools. We give a common ground for everyone to connect and to develop. And these contact limitations we had with the pandemic and with COVID reinstated underlying social inequalities and undermined our safety net, the space where our students, independent of their conditions in their houses or in their backgrounds, could have with us. So one of the first things we had to understand is that we needed to know how our students were and what was the internet connection capabilities for them. It was really important because this was not a major concern pre-COVID. we were not really concerned about how the connectivity was in their homes. We knew something about it, but it wasn't a key factor. And this diagnostic was needed in a very short time span. The pandemic started with us starting the first semester and started with a very new cohort of students. So this was very important for us. And from that analysis, we discovered and we diagnosed that the 16% of our students, around 5,000 undergraduate students, reported or not having a proper internet connection or having problems with their internet due to their geographical location. Some of them traveled back to their family homes, or due to the increased use due to the lockdown measures. The internet connection that was for Netflix now was used to work, two parents working and three students going to school or university. So how we tackled this challenge? First, diagnostic, and second, in a very extremely short period of time, we distribute around 5,000 SIM cards for every student that had problems with their internet connections. Not every problem could be tackled. We had to attack some deeper problems because in this part of the map, I don't know if you see the arrow, but this is Chile. It's 4,000 kilometers long for those of you that are not familiar with it. And in some of those areas, especially in the rural areas, connectivity isn't that good. So we had to develop some interesting ideas to get connection for the students. And also 20% of our students returned to their family homes outside Santiago area. That was another thing, that our students went back to their families. So this was another challenge that we had to tackle. So first, equity and connectivity. Second challenge, technological and methodological enablement. Our teaching staff, previous to COVID, had a limited experience with the online tools for teaching and learning purposes. Online education was a zone for pioneers, for the entrepreneurs, or a tool for continuing education in non-degree programs, but it wasn't part of our undergraduate programs as a regular practice. And also, our instructional design in the institution wasn't adapted for online education. And one of the examples we had from this was that because we didn't know the time span of the pandemic, and we thought maybe this is 4 weeks, or maybe it's a month and a half, the first instruction we gave and the first orientation we gave was keep your time slot that you have face-to-face with your students online. We recognized very quickly that that wasn't possible, and we started to change about it, but the instructional design wasn't really adapted for online education, and we had to learn in the process how to face it. And also a very practical thing, our systems were not adapted to absorb plus 3,000 simultaneous online activities at once, or to monitor student engagement online. Everything was prepared to face-to-face. So how we tackled those issues? And I want to focus on teaching staff. That was a very key part of our challenges. First, we started developing dynamic orientations to address the most pressing issues as it was needed. Because in the first questions was, how can I connect to Zoom and to bring students into the Zoom? Then, how can I adapt my methodology? Then assessment. And this was developing as the semester was developing. We started the first day of the semester, we started online. So this was developing in a very organized schedule. The second, a cycle of workshops to address these concerns of faculty of staff. We had recurrent workshops, and for the first time, we got to participate. 60% of the teaching staff participated in activities for developing competences for teaching. The third part was to develop a help desk and many help desks in the different academic units with a broad span of options, from how to connect my camera and how to keep connected to how to change my learning objectives. Is it what necessary? I mean, it was very wide, the span of questions and the span of needs. And the fourth part, and Cecilia is going to address probably this in the later panel, sees the opportunity to open our classrooms to other institutions nationwide and overseas. And one example of this is the APRU VSE program. 30 seconds. I'm going to move to the third challenge, quality assurance and informed decision making. Probably, I don't know if this is already written, but higher education institutions have faced the most dynamic and compressed change stream in their history in this pandemic. Decisions had to be made quickly and informed promptly and transparently to the community. And the status of their students, the living conditions, the emerging issues, the different scenarios require us to have updated and reliable information. And also, we saw that assessment in online environments and academic integrity were becoming issues. We started having debates about proctoring or not proctoring, for example, how to use tools to prevent or to enforce academic integrity and so. So we developed a three-way strategy. We installed a regular survey for student experience in what we called emergency remote teaching, the same survey but for teachers, and a student feedback in emergency remote teaching that applies regularly in every course in the middle of the semester. And what we discovered, 5 positive elements and 5 challenges. Positive elements are new students have a better evaluation of their experience with us than the older students. The respect in the relation between students and teachers is highly valued, and the systems are highly valued. The students are aware of the importance of academic integrity, and teaching assistants and peer mentors are highly valued in the role of fostering learning. I mean, they're like a cornerstone when things go south. Challenges to be addressed. More students are using part of their time to work due to economic difficulties in their families. Formative assessment is not present in the majority of courses, and this is one of our principles, and we have to find ways to address that. The increased academic overload and mental health issues are perceived like a very important thing to be tackled by the students. Engagement in the classroom and with peers is reduced for obvious reasons, and also our teaching methodologies need some development to enable student participation in online classrooms. That's it. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't overstep in my time.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Carlos Rilling, for your very comprehensive and very specific as well sharing and telling us again, getting the basic and fundamental right is so important in online education regarding about equity in technology and as well as quality. Thank you so much for your insight. I look forward to the panel in a minute. For the second presentation, I would like to welcome the Associate Dean for the Undergraduate Academic Affairs Office at Zhejiang University, Mr. Lin Zhi, for your presentation. Thank you.
Can everybody see my slides? Okay. Can everybody see my slides? Okay, great. Good morning and good evening. First, I'd like to thank all the colleagues at Tsinghua University for all the efforts organizing this wonderful and meaningful event. And it's a privilege for me today to talk about how we cope with COVID here at Zhejiang University. Now, first, let me introduce a little bit to our Chilean friends about ourselves. So we are a university located in Hangzhou City, Zhejiang Province, another major city in Yangtze River Delta, about 200 kilometers south of Shanghai. And 2020 marks our 123rd anniversary. And we are perennially ranked among the top 5 universities. Apparently we have 4 Chinese universities. I wanted to say top three, but apparently we have 4, so yeah. And we are operating in 7 campuses and with more than 130 majors and 62,000 students. Now, in the first part, let me say a few things about how the pre-COVID situation here. So well before the pandemic, we are fully aware of the ever-changing higher education landscape and the new science frontiers everywhere, the numerous hardware and software technologies available, and of course the shifting learning patterns such as fragmentation and so on. And therefore we extended our school's mission to cultivate more than not just the knowledge component in the growth of a student's well-being, but also the ability, quality, and character. And therefore, in 2019, we proposed the so-called the Learning 2.0 initiative, in which we want to submerge the classical student-teacher duo into an AI-enhanced environment. We'll do it way before the pandemic. Now let me explain a little bit about how we envision and implement this. And by machine, I'm referring to more of a virtual network. Now, the first stage of deployment, before 2020, we opened more than 200 MOOC courses on the state-certified Chinese universities MOOC platform. And the core of the system, of course, is our own cloud platform, launched about 5 years ago. And it pretty much addresses every possible educational scenario, except, of course, in-person contact. And by 2020, we use it to set up hundreds of courses, hundreds of small private online courses, SPOCs, as a second classrooms. And then came the moment of truth in maybe an unwelcoming, but definitely expected fashion. And on February 24th, our spring semester started, and completely remotely. And that means our cloud system was put to the ultimate full-scale stress test with more than 3,000 courses and 65,000 users at the same time. So we teamed up with a commercial partner. We used the DingTalk app for live streaming and replay for regular lectures, and the its video conferencing feature for seminars, discussion groups, and thesis defenses. And I personally had to teach and coordinate a course with 10 sessions for more than 1,500 undergrads, and all the online lecturing, testing and quizzes. And well, I think we passed the test pretty okay. We survived, and I think the quality of the outcome of the courses exceeded my expectations. As for one of the biggest challenges was of course no doubt to maintain the quality of these remote version of regular courses. On one hand, the students are very adaptive. They know how to use all those new gadgets, software or hardware, but they need to be pushed. They need to be pushed. So therefore, our cloud system basically took care of everything else other than the streaming part. So we asked the student, we have the ability to monitor online attendance real time, and we asked the instructors to give more quizzes throughout the courses, and we asked them try to make the course more immersive for the students. And we can do all sorts of community discussion and office hours with the social feature of our cloud platform. And of course, with the smart devices nowadays, the office hour practically became 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it was a headache for the instructor, but I think it's a good thing for the student. Of course, this system gives us our administrators a broader and smarter perspective to improve our curricula and beyond. With all the data it generates and collects, everything in this era is about data, right? This is of course the fundamental motivation for us to design all of this in the first place, and the best guarantee to fulfill our university's mission. So another challenge from the instructor's point of view, or from the administrator from the university's point of view, is that how to make the instructors more comfortable with lecturing all the courses remotely. Now, other than the designated IT task force on a university level, pretty much working 24 hours a day to support technically all the technical issues, we also set up a special group of support team in each individual academic unit to help every faculty member with the transition from pre-COVID to COVID. And I should mention that there are still some people, especially for some of my senior colleagues from university mathematics department, they just didn't know how to teach without a giant blackboard and chalk. So for them, under proper social distancing protocols, we set up dozens of empty classrooms with streaming capabilities. So, and for them, the only they could just go to an empty classroom to do the usual lecturing. The only difference before compared to pre-COVID days was the audience is empty, but everything else was the same. So I think that was a necessary and reasonable compromise we all have to face. So I guess everything, the pandemic is still around us. So all we can do is to hope for the best and adapt to the unexpected. And as I kept telling my students, so these are tough times, special times, and we are all in this together, and no man will left behind. And I also like to mention that now you are more than welcome to get a taste of our offering through the international version of the iCourse platform, and to see what we do with the remote lecturing. And that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Lin. Not only we are a Cantonese, a fellow Cantonese, I'm also a mathematician as well. I did my undergrad in mathematics. Wow. So I entirely understand. I cannot envision a class without blackboard. But it's nice to see that Zhejiang University rely on data and have a better understanding of students. And to be able to better serve students as well. Thank you so much for your insightful presentation. Without further ado, I would like to welcome the third presentation of this section. I would like to welcome Ms. Carola Bruna from University of Concepcion for your presentation. Dr. Bruna, you might need to unmute.
Yes.
Great,
good morning. Great. Do you hear me?
Yes, good morning. Yes, we can.
Sorry, I couldn't activate my microphone. Okay. It is a pleasure to participate today, sharing the experience of transition of remote teaching during the sanitary emergency at our university. Universidad de Concepción is located in the south of Chile. It was created by the community 101 years ago with a focus on public role, and it supports more than 25,000 students, mostly economically disadvantaged, through 91 undergraduate programs in 3 campuses in the main cities of the region. Before COVID, we didn't have much experience in online teaching, but we had different units with relevant capabilities and a medium-term plan for implementing blended learning in our institution. In particular, we had a center with more than 20 years of experience in creating didactical resources and the use of Moodle, another unit in charge of pedagogical teacher training, a center for student support, and another of information technologies. On the other hand, as most universities in Chile, product of the social movement, we had to adapt for finalizing the second semester in 2019, which we did using Microsoft Teams for video conferences and Moodle. And that gave us some idea of what was needed. Also, we have an institutional project since 2019, which is funded by the Ministry of Education, which has been extremely relevant in this context. It is called UdeC Lab and consists of a laboratory of educational innovation and research that aims to improve performance in basic science subjects and students' retention through the implementation of blended and active learning, which since the sanitary emergency contributes to the whole university. In the context of this project, The institution had expert human resources, pilot plans, and procedures, and has chosen this January Canvas as an institutional learning management system to be gradually implemented, which of course was evidently accelerated. The collaboration among all these units in the context of the vision of the authorities has been key to our actions and results. Regarding the teachers, focus was to provide guidelines, regulations, and support. The institution provided for all the community Canvas and teams with instructions of good practices with a lot of flexibility. We inquired cities of each faculty and offered several workshops. Initially, they were focused in technical aspects of the institutional platforms, as well as guidelines on online teaching. And then they focused on pedagogical aspects. We have offered until now 17 different workshops with 6,000 inscriptions to them. We also implemented a help desk, a web page with tutorials and recommendations, as well as national and international webinars, learning communities, an individual support program, grants for developing digital education resources, as well as for virtualizing practical activities and orientations and follow-up of curricular adaptations, among other actions. Regarding students, the attention was provided to the need of connectivity and equipment first, and then psychological and pedagogical support. We also implemented for them technological workshops, a help desk, and a webpage with resources and orientations. As a result of these actions, most of the majority adopted the institutional platforms. We assessed the quality of teaching and learning, and it was well perceived. That assessment was made for each course and each teacher. We had a global score of around 6.3 in a scale from 1 to 7. Nevertheless, in a second survey that was general, not course by course, there's a misalignment in some aspect according to this survey, and we have yet to understand it. Also, it is worth mentioning that there was no significant increase in the dropout rate in the second semester. So this experience has shown us that the commitment of the community, despite their needs for improvement, in which we're working on right now, most have responded positively, acquiring competencies that will probably change the way we approach the teaching and learning process. We still need to understand the misalignment I mentioned earlier. I think that the biggest challenge was to adapt to uncertainty. We have a lot of data to analyze right now, and also think that we will have to deal with the beliefs of what is online teaching, because we had to give a lot of flexibility, considering the pressing need of implementation, which can now be a source of misconception of what are the appropriate standards. One weakness to address is online teaching, and now we face the challenge to transition to a mixed modality. Finally, the sanitary emergency, especially the broad use of an LMS, enable us to acquire and analyze learning analytics. For instance, now we can identify which type of resources related to a better performance, to study relationships with socio-demographic data, to develop better prediction models of performance and retention in order to make pedagogical and institutional decisions. And with this experience, we believe we have shortened the gap to implement blended and e-learning. And also, despite that physical interaction cannot be fully replaced, to be used to screens, to interact through screens, have somehow made distances not that far, which can promote national and international collaboration, which is the focus of the meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bruna, for your insightful presentation, and particularly in helping us to picture how all these elements come together during the transition, but also beyond as well as an opportunity. Thank you so much from University of Concepcion for your presentation. And our fourth presentation for this section, I would like to welcome the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Academic Office at the Shanghai Jiao Tong University, Mr. Cheng Feng, for your presentation.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet everybody here online. It's a very special experience. Let me share my screen. So just wait a minute. Oh, maybe that's not right. Just wait a minute. So, oh, maybe there's some problem to share my, oh, yes, that's. Okay, nice to meet everybody. Now let me introduce our online teaching, some data of HJTU, Shanghai Jiao Tong University, under COVID-19. So first of all, let's share some data. That is an overview of the online teaching of HJTU just last semester. Last semester, the number of courses that were taught online are more than 4,200. So that is the more than 90% of all courses. I mean the theoretical courses, not include experimental course, because only the theoretical courses were given out online, and we still haven't found a good way of the online teaching for those experimental courses. And the student number covered in last semester are more than 18,000, and the faculty number are more than 2,020. And also the teaching hours online teaching hours are more than 116,000 hours. And also the percentiles of online courses will be a huge number. And moreover, for our online teaching, we give out the guide document of standardization on the campus online teaching are more than 12. I mean the campus because last semester, nearly all our professors, our faculties are come back to the campus, but nearly none of our students were taught in our campus, so they are at home. And the percentiles of seeking advices from the students are more than 2,000. And also the online training for percentiles will be more than 10,000, that including our faculties and also the students. And also you can see the left part of the PPT. That's my courses last semester or this semester. And also I use this Canvas last semester, and also I teach in the classroom last semester, but in my classroom, there's no students. And my students will see me online. And we use Canvas, the Canvas platform for our teaching, to support our teaching. So the total number of tests or assessment or homeworks that submitted by students are more than 377,000. And also the daily number is more than 4,000. For our faculty, they upload teaching references more than 120,000 times. And the two students and the professors will discuss online. The Zooms number are more than 27,000. So that, and also our SJTU authorities also set up some online teaching research projects for our professors, for our faculties, because our faculty also want to study how to teach online. That is a new, for most professors, that is a new experience. And last semester, we manage our online teaching in this ways. First of all, we have 3 methods for our professors to teach. One is online and offline. I mean offline, because they can make the videos before the class and then send online. So actually that is offline. And also we the most popular method are online plus offline teaching. And also the authorities need to start watching this research, this program and this process. So we send many teaching supervision of the whole semester. And also for some big courses such as math and physics, we use a big class teaching. And that means the students will they'll learn online in very big class, but we also provide small class tutorial. And also because last semester, most of our professors come back to the campus. So many professors still like to use the teaching buildings, use the classrooms for the teaching, although there's no students. So we provide daily disinfections of our teaching buildings. And we have 9 teaching buildings and also more than 500 classrooms. So the daily classroom used will be classes used will be more than 1,000. And also when we teach, because we usually use Canvas platform and also the Zoom video conferencing systems. By the Canvas platform, the homeworks, the online test, the teaching references, and the online discussions will happen on Canvas platform. And also by the Zoom that we use now, the live broadcast will give out, and the student can get real-time communications from the faculties. So, moreover, for us, the most challenge will come from the faculty training. Usually, the faculty are not so familiar as the students about online teaching or about the online experience or online technique. So we provide different kinds of training for our professors, for our faculties, including how to use the platform, how to use the Canvas, and how to use the Zoom, and how to make the video, and how to teach online, and also how to and also we give demonstration lessons of good professors to all our faculties. Then they can learn from the professor teaching. So for our first round of training, we set training meetings for more than that is six meetings, and the number of training faculties are more than 2,700. And then we found that it's a very good way for our faculties to learn how to teach online. So we set the second round of training meetings. The meeting number is 17, and then the person times of the training faculty are more than 5,000. And also the students also need training. So because the students are much more familiar about the online teaching or about the website. So for most students, we provide online study handbooks for students. They can learn from the handbook. For them, that'd be an easy way. And also we provide stuff to students, communication. Then for our staff, they need to cover all the students. And also we also provide students mutual aid through website. So that we should make sure every student know how to learn online, how to get the online teaching class. So that's all for our experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Chen, for your sharing. For the next brief moment and section, we would like to have a dialogue with the 4 presenters just now. So for those who did not present just now, I will kindly ask you to turn off the camera just for a brief moment, so we have the screen with all the panelists in front of us. However, I'll be moving on. So thank you so much for 4 wonderful presentation in helping us to get a much better picture of how we transitioned from the pre-COVID to COVID, particularly with many challenges that was presented and solution too, with so many different approaches. Before we move on to the faculty, which Professor Chen mentioned quite a lot, the stress that we put on faculty and also the investment that we put on faculty as well. Before we move on the faculty to the second section, I would like to ask each one of you as a university administrator. Of course, during this transition, we have very limited resources. We would like to do many things, but we need to make choices. So my question is, what were your top priority at that time, and how did you make that choices? So hopefully your answer will be able to help shed some light into the fellow university administrators who are watching us online now. So the question is, what were your top priority and why? So maybe 1 to 2 minutes for your answer, as we are quite pushed for time. We're going to go through the order we just went through. So I would like to first invite Professor Carlos Rilling from University of Chile to provide your first insights and kick us off.
I first want to take 2 seconds to underline the importance of sharing these common challenges we have. I think it's really interesting that even though we're thousands of miles apart and we're in different cultural backgrounds, we're facing basically the same challenges and the importance of collaboration, something that we have seen in the last time increased with every institution. I think after COVID, I hope for a world where we have a more open access attitude to how to tackle those challenges. That being said, our provost for academic affairs defined 6 principles to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic. And the first one of those, and I think that's our top priority and was our top priority at the moment, was the continuity of teaching and learning. Part of our academic body was reluctant, some of them, to pursue in terms of going online. Some of them because they knew the extent of the pandemic. No one knew how long this was going to be. Thought that maybe we should wait until this was solved. And we were really, really hard to express that the continuity of teaching and learning was our first principle, that we had to pursue this goal, that we could not wait, and we had to develop this new way to teach in any way we could. And to tackle this, I think we had 2 other principles that were really important. We had more, but two principles were really important. First, flexibility. And when I say flexibility, it's because the time span of the pandemic has changed a lot for us. I mean, when we were in March, we thought this could be solved in May. When we were in May, we were programming a second semester that starts in Chile in August that might be online. So, and in August, we realized that maybe it wasn't until October, and in October, it's still there. So in terms of flexibility, it's really important to have a flexible attitude and to communicate this flexible attitude to the community. And the other part is communication, open, transparent, very prompt, very quick communication with the academic staff, with the professional staff, with the students, to give them the assurances we can give them in this context. I mean, COVID-19 hasn't affected only the academic life of students, has affected every point. And one of the things that we have tried to do is to not make the university a bigger stressor in a world of uncertainty. So I think that would be my biggest priority, to maintain the continuity of teaching and learning and to be flexible and to communicate about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Redding. Of course, it's much easier said than done. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Very, very important. I would like to move to Professor Lin from Zhejiang University for your take. What were your top, or what is your top priority?
I think as Professor Rilling mentioned in the slides, and along the same lines as what he just said, the top priority was, of course, access to the course, access to the education. And for the students, the access to the course materials and all the TAs and the instructors. For the instructors, the access to the most comfortable and effective approach to teach, to convey knowledge and everything else. And for the administrators, the access to the data so that we can evaluate the course, the quality of the education, even if we are under special times. And that's, I think it speaks to everyone, and the access was our top priority. And that's why we try to utilize all the possible platforms that we can have and control, teamed up with commercial partners, using our own cloud platforms. Faculty members spontaneously, voluntarily found their way of storing and transferring data and so on. And everything was revolving around access.
Thank you. Providing options as well, as you have mentioned, choices and options are very, very important. Thank you for your input. Flexibility, yes, indeed. I would like to move to Dr. Bruna from University of Concepcion for your take. What were your top priority?
I will have to say that we invested in the license of Canvas, because we have to buy for all the community. It was around 30,000 licenses between professors, students, and collaborators. We also invested in scholarships for students, connectivity and equipment scholarships, and also in human resources regarding the people for the help desk that was continuously working since March. That has and also some technical professionals to help teachers and administrators to develop the resources, as well as a special software, for instance, for the health undergraduate programs.
Thank you for your input. Investment, very, very important. Very, very important to remember that not everyone start off in the same starting block. We do need investment to ensure that equity is there while we push for educational equality. Thank you so much for your take on this, particularly the insights that you have. Last but not least, I would like to welcome Professor Chen from Shanghai Jiao Tong University for your take. What were your top priority and why?
Well, at the beginning of the last semester, I think the top priority for us will be how to make the professors understand online teaching. I mean, professors not mean faculties, because for the young faculties, they also are born with the network, so it's easy for them to understand. But for the professors, especially the senior professors, it will be a big challenge. Will be very difficult for them to learn how to teach online. You know, teaching online is not the same as teach offline. So the ways are different. So that's the beginning of this semester. And at the end of the last semester, I think our top priority was the same as Zhejiang University. That is assessment, because everybody know how to access the students, how to access what they learn in the whole semester will be a big challenge, will be very difficult. So we just try many ways to access our students. And fortunately, at last, most students they are satisfied with the assessment last semester.
Great, thank you so much, Professor. I think both access, in terms of access making things available, and access in terms of evaluation, they're both very, very important as we transition from the pre-COVID to the COVID era. I would like to hear once again, thank you so much, from the wonderful presentation from University of Chile, from Zhejiang University, from University of Concepcion, and as well as Shanghai Jiao Tong University for your wonderful input. Thank you so much for this this wonderful presentation and response. I would like to now move on to the sub-theme number 2. We have reviewed our past, and now we are now where we are now. We are transitioning from the COVID to the what some of us call new normal. And during the past presentations, many of the presentations mention about faculty, mentions about professors. So we would like to invite some of the faculty members, teaching faculty, to share their perspective and to give us presentation. And without further ado, I would like to welcome a presentation from University of Chile, Cecilia Saint-Pierre, she is the director of online learning, and give us insights as to during this transitioning from COVID to the new normal. Thank you.
Thank you, Enoch, for the presentation. Let me share my screen. Okay, are you seeing it?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So, about where now and continuing the presentation of Carlos in the panel before, I'm going to start talking about where we are now. We have seen COVID has been a catalyzer of learning and teaching transformation. During 2020, our professors had to learn how to use new technologies, and not so new technologies, but that were not in their usual practice. So now, when 2021 is approaching, we are confronting an absolutely different reality than 1 year ago. First, the digital competence of our teachers is at a totally different level than 1 year before, where they now know how to reach the learning objective of their students using technology to collaborate, communicate, transfer knowledge, and evaluate how all these activities contribute to those learning objectives. In a certain way, COVID has accelerated the transformation process of our teaching practice. We are working on it before, but COVID has accelerated, no doubt. So this period of full online teaching and learning has given us the opportunity to develop beyond where we would have been if our programs had been developing in parallel with our traditional classroom experience. This year of forced online modality usage has also allowed us to explore virtual student exchanges, as like Carlos said before, with universities from other countries, such as the pilot developed by APRU, where University of Chile received 17 foreign students in 7 courses, but also 81 of our students had the opportunity to participate in courses of international universities. We can now apply all the experience and knowledge gained over the past year to incorporate elements of online learning as part of the curricula in our programs to enrich the learning experience, incorporating virtual exchanges of our students. Now, the big challenge as a university is how we assure educational principles are reflected in our online courses. This year has brought our teachers to a level where technology is familiar and easy to use, but now we need to promote the use of those new skills to incorporate the educational principles that are more abstract and subtle, but not less important to the outcome we expect from our students. Those principles include situated learning, inclusion and equity, learning as a collaborative, social, and personal construction of knowledge. This means creating spaces and experience inside the virtual learning environment. The risk we front is perpetuating the remote online classroom as a unidirectional flow of information when the lecturer presents content through video conference. This is not what we want. This is not the instructional design we want. So the application of the core principles of situated learning, inclusion and equity, learning as collaborative, social, and personal construction of knowledge, as I said before, should lead to humanizing the technology-mediated experience and locate the student at the center of the model. Inclusion and equity is a particular point to focus on, since we have uneven conditions among some of our students, like Enya and Carlos presented before, and we should be taking account these uneven situations, from connectivity to the type of study environment available to follow an online class. So these uneven conditions can't be completely addressed. So the course design should be adjustable such that every of our students will have the same learning opportunity. To confront the challenge, we have designed a strategy together with the university authorities at the highest level. It's the Vice President of Academic Affairs here and the Vice President of Technology also working on this. And the goal is to train all professors and instructors involved in the teaching process to transform their course content to online modalities that reflect those principles that are so important to us. To achieve this, we're preparing orientations, workshops, online courses for teachers. And the most important topics to address is how to transform a traditional syllabus into an instructional sequence appropriate to online modality. This means design programs that considers from the course outline to the content units how to guide the learning process. We need to consider students' previous knowledge and experience and to develop contents which are situated and meaningful to them while incorporating dialogue and reflection about these contents. This has to integrate collaborative activities, interaction among students and between the students and teachers, and assure inclusivity for all students in the group. Maybe in a few years, technology as used today will be obsolete. We can imagine now what educational tools we have might utilize in the future. And perhaps the way of our students will learn will also be different. But technology will remain just the medium, not the message. We should prepare our teachers to be open to technology changes, new tools, new methods, and this is our challenge in the future. But we must not lose sight of our core principles because they are the essence of the Universidad de Chile's learning experience. This is presentation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saint-Pierre, for your presentation. And one of the things that stood out for me was in the first section, there's so much talking about online teaching. But particularly at your presentation just now, there's so much about learning and learner and student. And I think this is very, very important. I think that also represents from our past towards present. We change from teaching to learning. And this is going to help us to go beyond this as well. Thank you so much for kicking us off. I think that was a wonderful way to do this as well. Next, I would like to call on the Associate Professor in Computer Science at Peking University, Professor Bian. Professor Bian also taught at one of our classes during the China-Chile Online Education Week as well. I look forward to your presentation. Professor Bian.
Thank you for the introduction. Now it's my turn. I want to share a screen. Okay, this is my this is my topic, and I think I want to talk about my online teaching experience in the spring semester. And I actually taught the course Computer Networks in Peking University for the undergraduate students in the Department of Computer Science and Technology here. And this is a very hands-on skill-based course, because you need to assign a few networking projects to the students. However, in the spring, everyone stays at home, and so you can have no way to in person teach them. So it's a very big challenge. However, it's still a very good opportunity to think about a new method that you can or the new topic you can design for the as a computer network project. So what we want to do, it is also an undergoing project collaboration with Microsoft Research in Beijing, is that we need to change from the protocol design based protocol project to the online conferencing tool measurement. So like the Teams is a tool from the Microsoft, and now we are using Zoom. So how can you assign the project for students to help them evaluate the performance of such tools? I think this is a very good idea. I just want to share with you about our story. And you all know that given the current situation, most of the students in many countries, they stay at home. So we have no other choice. We have to use Zoom, Teams. In China, we have other options for the online teaching and online conferencing. But sometimes the video quality suffers when we all open the cameras. For example, in this conference, if more than 20 people open their cameras, the video quality will drop significantly. That's because each video camera will consume a portion of the bandwidth. So the total bandwidth for us is not sufficient to support all the people online with the camera on. So we can only open the voice, and the video part we need to sacrifice. So that's a big challenge. Even with the tech leader, in the industry is Zoom. Zoom now they have a $80 billion market value, but they still cannot solve this problem very perfectly. So that's a good starting point for the students and also for our faculties to learn and to research how to improve that. So there are many user experience issues. For example, if you are here, when you connect with the Wi-Fi or with the mobile phone, so the experience are totally different. The Wi-Fi is more stable, but the mobile network, it depends on the network conditions. Another is alert of the privacy leakage. We may all experience such problems that someone forgot to turn off the camera, then their privacy leakage problem is very significant. So such kind of tools can have no ways to alert the user. So this is something interesting but very important. And so for a remote course, how to design the course project is an interesting problem. And in the spring semester, we agree that the academia and the industry in China, we agree that this is a very good topic. We assigned because the students were located across the country. China is so big and the network condition is very complicated. So when they stay at home, it's a very good opportunity to measure the network condition and also measure the performance of the tools as a nationwide experiment. So this is a very good project for the course. And we have some like a video on demand streaming and tools, but I have actually talked about those materials in the previous China-Chile online course. And then now I want to talk the third part. The third part is how we can evaluate the performance of the online conferencing tools and provide feedbacks for the industry to help them to improve such kind of tools. So the first challenge we want to address is the audio-video synchronization between mouse and the speech. Sometimes the voice comes first, and you can find your video is very lagging, and the motion of the mouse and the motion of the people's motion is very, very slow. So that will significantly degrade the user experience. And also we want to do the face detection in the video call, who is the main speaker and the other are the audience. So sometimes the video or the viewport of the Zoom will switch from the host to the main speaker, or sometimes switch back. So sometimes the detection is not accurate, so it may cause some errors. And we want to use such kind of metrics to help them to evaluate the performance. For example, the resolution of the video quality, the rebuffering time. Rebuffering time means the delay, and the smoothness of consecutive video frames. You need to avoid the transition from a high quality video frame to a low quality video frame. So you still need to make a balance between the access network, backbone network. But in China, things are more complicated. We have an education network. That network is exclusive for the exclusive use of university. So that network still suffers a bottleneck with connection to the public network. So all these things can be connected, need to consider. So currently we focus on two sub-problems. The first is the synchronization between the mouse and the voice. The other problem we will focus is the motion gesture and the speech context. So sometimes your hand gesture or your other motion is not matching with your with the context in your talk. So we need to first define, we have defined a few metrics I just introduced. And we also collect a data set. And finally, we will provide a few feedbacks to the Microsoft product. And hopefully we will get an updated version in the next year to help all the people to enjoy a better online conferencing tool. So that's my that's something I want to share today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Bian, for your very insightful presentation. Particularly, doing research as you are practicing on online education must be fascinating, and it gives us a behind-the-scene look into some of the technology advancement that we might be expecting in the near future as well. Thank you so much for your presentation, Professor Bian. Next, I would like to welcome the Academic Director of the Observatory on Digital Education Practices at the School of Education at Catholic University of Chile, Professor Magdalena Claro, for your presentation. Professor, you might need to be unmuted. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was saying good morning and good afternoon to everyone. I will try to present some reflections on what has happened in the Catholic University of Chile, mostly thinking about this transition to the new normal, but a very general overview of what they were, the presentations were talking about in the previous panel. Also in the Catholic University, there has been a lot of need for professional or teacher development support, and there has been a very high demand, and we have been working on the Canvas platform and also using a lot of Zoom, and there has been a lot of faculty need for support, and this has increased very much over the past year compared to previous years. And this is just a graph of how the Zoom meetings grew during the semester, the first and second semester, just to show a little bit of what has been going on as well in our university. And some points or some reflections about this new normal, and mostly focused on what did we learn during this times and this year. First, also, as others have mentioned, the importance of the digital divide. I think this has become a priority problem. We were discussing about this in our country, but the importance of this was not seen, and not only about access to digital technologies, but also concerning digital skills and the need for teaching digital skills in the courses and throughout the university programs. How this digital divide determines different learning experiences, and therefore it is our duty to make sure this is not something that happens within the universities. In this sense, it is an institutional problem, not only a private family problem to solve. So that's just one challenge that we have been discussing now, and about after we learned these several things during the past year. Another important lesson is about flexibility in the learning teaching process. We know, and we also understood better now that students were already learning online. We know that students use Google, use YouTube, use tutorials to learn, and suddenly this also started to be our ally in learning and in teaching, and therefore is something that we need to re-question some of the practices we do in the classroom. Also, flexibility in terms of solutions also is in terms of how we are in times of change and unpredictable problems. In Chile, we have been going through several also social problems that had already put us in this challenge of teaching online and teaching in different places. Also flexibility is a principle that comes out from the opportunities that are provided by the internet and digital technologies, and this is something that is increasing in terms of access in the society, in all our practices, in every area, and also flexibility in terms of understanding and working on student-centered learning strategies that require to design strategies that are different for different types of students and a more diverse type of students. A third reflection would be that, or lesson, is the reflection that we've been going through on the value of face-to-face versus online in the classroom. Also, because of digital technologies, the role of the content in the learning and teaching process has changed. We understand now that we can move the content to other moments, to asynchronic moments, and we should save the synchronic encounters for developing skills in the classroom. And this is something that had been proposed by the flipped classroom pedagogical model, and that today it makes much more sense, and that we will probably maintain, even though we go back more to a face-to-face mode of learning, or a mixed type of learning. And then a fourth challenge, or a fourth lesson, is what also others were commenting before, is the importance of collaboration as a path to overcome these challenges. We in the Catholic University, there has been a lot of faculty exchange of good practices, of learning how you did it, what worked for you. We had a Padlet that was put in as something that the Teacher Development Center shared, and different faculties were sharing what strategies worked for them using different technologies, etc. So I think this was something that we will probably continue doing, and we learned that this is the way of working today, and also the need for interdisciplinary and global perspectives on how to solve the problems we are confronting today. So those are my main points, my main reflections. So these are new principles for learning and teaching in the new normal: the digital divide, the flexibility, the value of face-to-face and developing skills, and the principle of also collaborating and working with others.
Thank you, Professor Carlo, for your presentation, particularly in reminding us some of the very important principle. One of the things you mentioned is collaboration. We recently launched a Global MOOC Alliance. One of the focuses is sharing knowledge, sharing good practices, sharing tools, something that have been repeated by both University of Chile and as well as Catholic University of Chile. So we hope to be more involved in sharing in the future, and hoping that will be helping us more as we are transitioning to a new normal. Thank you once again for your presentation, Professor Carlo. And last but not least, I would like to welcome presentation number 8, Professor Qian Jing. She is a professor in psychology at Tsinghua University, and at the same time, she also hosted one of the 7 China-Chile online education courses during that week in a hybrid mode. So I would like to welcome Professor Qian for your sharing.
Okay, thank you, Enoch. I cannot enable my video. Could you do that for me? Oh, yes, now I can. All right. Yes, thank you. I'm still in the classroom. I just finished teaching one session, and it's the same class, Brief Introduction to Psychology, the class that we taught. We invited students from Chile to come into the class. So last time we talked about perception, and today we talked about memory, both very important concepts in psychology. So I didn't have a PPT to share, but I'd like to share some of my reflections about online teaching that has happened since 2020, and now in the autumn semester, the hybrid teaching. So it seems that this year has been a great year for challenges and innovation. So education or teaching has always been like a long-term business. But now this year has put this business to all of us, educators worldwide, and we've been facing the same challenge. And not only have we risen up to this challenge, but we have come up with new ways of teaching and new perspectives about how to make learning experiences more of a human content. So I would like to kind of focus on several things, right? So now, for example, the class I've just taught, I've used different technologies to combine students together to try to let them feel that we are in the same classroom. So I used the Zhumu, which is the equivalent of Zoom, to bring on online students. And then all through the lectures, we've also added a lot of comprehension check questions via Rain Classroom. So we get constant feedback from the students. And there are also ways to inspire students to be engaged in the class. So this already has become the new normal. We didn't teach this way before. So I was trying to reflect how I taught the same class last year and what has changed. And it seems that now I've tried to come up with ways that facilitate more of what we call student-centered learning. And it's also been a reflection that I feel that I've been teaching this course for almost 10 years now. And there has been 3 phases of innovation. So the first phase, I was trying to be what we call the sage on the stage, right? So I would try to carefully choose the textbook. I would try to craft out the ways about organize my structure and logic, and try to convey to the students as engaging as possible the content of psychology. And it's more on the teacher's viewpoint. So I decide what's funny, I decide what's relevant, and I decide what is going to be beneficial. And it's a perspective from the teacher, from a more knowledgeable person. And then it's been always mostly a monologue. And in 2017, I made a MOOC, basically made this monologue online and cut it into 42 pieces. So it became a MOOC of 446-minute videos. And I've combined those videos with questions, with comprehension checks. So basically what I could do as a teacher, as a conveyor of knowledge, can already be done online. And it's been online for 3 years. But this year is an exceptional year because in this year, the number of MOOC users have increased dramatically. So it has, for my course online, it has become like 8-fold more than before. So suddenly there are way more interesting learners who are interested in this content that wasn't there before. So now I have to rethink. If I have the MOOC, what do I now teach in class? How do I combine? How do I reorganize? How do I think about my pedagogy in terms of facilitate student-centered learning? So then entered phase 2. So phase 2 is about what we called blended learning, right? So I give students those materials for them to view before class. And ideally, I would also throw out enough kind of food for thoughts or interesting questions that they would bring to the class. And then I would try to aim my teaching tailored towards questions what I think is difficult for them. The questions I think is probably need more build up, scaffolding. So that's the phase 2. So I try to still a teacher-centered view. So I view their feedback. So with their feedback, I still decide what's important. I still decide what's relevant, right? So I call this the phase 2 of teaching. But now I'm still constantly being challenged by my students. Usually after class, we talk a little bit about what do you think is good and what do you think what are complaints, right? I do get a lot of complaints this year because I'm trying to innovate all the time. And this year, I think my inspiration or my reflection is that now I think the third phase of teaching is to listen. So before, what I used to teach, I have things prepared, right? So I would kind of deliver what I think is important. And secondly, I would kind of bring the student question as if it was the student perspective, but still I would give out what's been prepared for them. So I ask a question, but I already have the answer without listening. But the third phase, now I'm thinking more about it. Now I'm really trying to listen to why you think it's not, reasonable, or why, how you view these knowledge and content. So is that as if I was talking to a child, right? So I used to talk to my child standing up. I tell them what I think is right, but now I'm scooping down. I'm looking at eye level with them, and I'm trying to switch my perspective. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm not succeeding yet, but I think it's important to rethink about how to design pedagogy. Is to really, stand at the same level as them, and not be kind of too prone or to, not to, immediately throw at them what's the result, what has been found so far, right? No longer standing at this kind of sage view, right? So my motto for education, or for education in general, is that I'm trying to kind of step down from the sage on the stage to be the guide on the side. And in order to be a guide, you need to walk with them. You need to share their perspective, and then accept that is important, and realize that's important, and accept that their view is the perspective that I should take. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and this has been something that I'm reflecting. So for example, in psychology, we know that if you try to pretend to be a 4-year-old, then your actions and behaviors and your thoughts is not a 4-year-old. It's an adult pretending to be a 4-year-old. However, now this new phase, I call this phase 3 of education for me as a kind of inner kind of journey, is really trying to listen and try to understand a 4-year-old perspective, of trying to understand, newcomers to psychology, how they think, why they still are fascinated by Freud. Why are we really interested in trying to understand our dreams? This is no longer the most relevant thing in psychology, in modern psychology, but it's still the fascinating question in terms of the inward journey of trying to understand yourself. And that is the most important thing to why we study psychology. So in some ways, I think I am also taking these opportunities to think about how I should kind of restructure my teaching, how I should really take the student-centered perspective in order to design a course that facilitate and enrich their learning experience. I don't know how much time I have, but I think all of this is, I'm grateful for this opportunity, because never than before where educators came together, and then we have these discussion and dialogue about how we teach and share our experiences. It used to be a lonely journey. Now we share with some colleague, but never had before do we have this global MOOC alliance. Then we do have these sharing. Then we can really listen and really try to take the perspective. There's one small example I'd like to share. 2 weeks ago, we were having this class with the university students from University of Chile and University of the Catholic University of Chile. And one student asked the question, what was the kind of cultural difference in terms of perception? If we see the same things, how would culture somehow affect that? And I gave the wrong answer I already have in my mind, which was the Muller-Lyer example, right? So we all live in metropolitan cities, so we have these squares and angles, so we have this illusion. But if you give this to someone who doesn't have the environment, then we do not have this illusion. So this was the ready answer. But then when I go back, I thought, oh, there are new answers I could have. For example, both China and Chile share the same first 3 letters. So if I give you CHI and then leave 2 blanks, how would you fill it out? And there were cultural differences in there. So our kind of mental kind of readiness, expectations on top-down knowledge would then apply to exemplify these differences. And this is something that I learned by listening to the students from Chile who asked these questions. Thank you very much, Enoch. Back to you.
Thank you, Professor Chen, and especially for your powerful stories as well. I would argue the sharing that you just had is as exciting and as powerful as the slides presentation that all the other presentation had as well. And I think that is also goes to different ways that we can engage different learners throughout. So thank you so much. And I have to say, I wish when I was a student at Tsinghua, I could have taken one of your courses. I think it's very, very exciting to revisit and continuously think of new ways and better ways to teach, or particularly for students to learn. Thank you so much, Professor Chen, particularly for taking your time right after class to join us. So for the next section, I want to have a brief conversation with our panel, with our presenter for a very, very brief panel. Again, I want to throw out 2 questions. One of which is actually from one of our audience who just asked us as well. The first question, and choose one of the 2 to answer. The first one is about, one or 2 of us spoke about collaboration. So will you be able to share a specific example, even ideas of a collaboration with online technologies, particularly that collaboration that might not be possible in person? So that's one of the question. Or the other question, and it's from the audience, is, the pandemic is a surprise for all of us. But looking back, or even looking into the future, who knows what will happen? How can teaching faculty members be better prepared? Either as a faculty members, or how do you think the institution, university, can help faculty to be better prepared? Or how students can help faculty to be better prepared? So 2 questions, interesting question, can choose either one of them. I would like to go with the order that the presentation we just went through. So I would like to first invite University of Chile, Dr. Cecilia Saint-Pierre, for your response and feedback. Hi, Cecilia.
Hi, sorry, I lost the connection. Yes, I mean, collaboration is crucial in our model. The learning development. It's mainly social and dialogic process. So we have different levels of collaboration. We use the traditional tools for collaboration, like real-time editing documents, forums, peer reviewing. But we also are working now with elements of visual collaboration in real time. And this has been a real good experience. So we can work in workshops where the students and teachers in real time collaborate in a visual way with elements like mind maps or summary of the contents, highlights, and this in collaboration now. I think this is a very interesting tool that has had very good results in our practice. But we also have to promote collaboration between professors, because all of them are facing a new way to teach and also learn themselves. So I think we have to promote the use of the same elements we use to collaborate between students, also in community of teachers to collaborate each other, so they can construct collectively new ways or new ideas to improve the practice. It's interesting to me also, we have used some technologies that boys use to play games online, like Discord. I don't know if you have listened about this platform. It's a platform that usually young teenagers or early 20s use to play a video game and still be connected mainly by audio. And we in our team use this technology, this platform to work, and has been pretty interesting how the youngest members of our team bring this kind of tools that the older ones have no idea that exist, because we don't play video games online. And this is an example how the same students can contribute with the platforms or tools they use in a daily basis, but in other contexts, to enrich the learning experience.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saint-Pierre, for your sharing. I think it's definitely, it will be incredible to bring in some of the collaboration skills from playing games to the classroom as well, hopefully one day. And reminding us, collaboration it doesn't have to be global, it can be local with students and faculty as well. Thank you so much for your sharing. Next, I would like to go to Professor Bian for your insights either on collaboration idea or how can faculty be better prepared.
Okay, to answer the question, how can faculty be prepared? My answer is the following, and the pandemic is a surprise for everyone. And during my teaching in the spring semester, at the very beginning, I think this the online tools is not easy to use, and because everyone closed their camera, and I am like the host of the talk show, and no one gave me explicit feedback to me, and they are all silent, and the students, I mean, so during my teaching process, I am thinking about how can I draw their attention back to the slides I share. So I think I found it's very hard, difficult. If you ask them to all open their camera, as I just said, the bandwidth is so limited. So you cannot continue with a smooth teaching using the online tools. So after that, after 2 months, after the midterm exam, I switched to one-on-one discussion. So I will divide the whole course like one class to 10 time slots, and I will group them like 3 or 4 people group. And during each of the slot, I will talk to each of them and ask about their feedback about my course, and a few critical questions, and some so I just answer a few critical questions they raised about my course content. And sometimes I will assign some puzzles and a quiz during that time slot. So this during the small time slot, only 5 people online, so they can all open their camera. So this I think the way I try to draw their attention back. So that's how I think we can be prepared for the as a faculty for the sudden surprise. And from the university level or the department level, I read the question here, the administrative level, what kind of things can they do? I think they just try to, in China, I suggest the strengthen their support to the faculty, but reduce the load. I mean the evaluation part of the course. At the beginning of the spring semester and the university level, they try to set up a few goals and to make sure the students are all attending the course, and try to guarantee there is no cheating in the final exam, and many actions they try to take. But some of them may fail in the online environment. So my suggestion is try to reduce such kind of evaluation metrics to the faculty, but increase the support to the online course. For example, you can increase the stipend or the salary for the faculty to build a new online course. So that's something I want to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bian, for your sharing. I think this, particularly at the beginning, the message very much echo what Professor Qian mentioning about listening to students. And that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of us are very excited for the third part when we invite students to come in and speak, and where we can better listen as well. Thank you so much, Professor Bian. Third, I would like to welcome Professor Claro for your sharing. Any exciting ideas on collaboration, or how can we be better prepared as teaching faculty?
Yes, I think I would connect both questions, because I think how can faculty be better prepared is collaborating and learning from each other. What I was saying also in my presentation, I think we have experienced a much stronger collaboration and a process of learning with each other. As I said, there's a lot of technology and ways of doing this online, like the Padlet I showed, where teachers just tape or video their experience and share it with others. We're all learning here in this year. We have globally been learning, and I think this is a very important moment to really think about the lessons and which are the best practices to really offer a more significant learning process for students that also responds in a better way to the world they are living in. I think we are much more conscious of how we were really also in the, not only in the educational system, but also in higher education, teaching much more for the industrial society. And so I think we are all in a since we are globally experiencing this new way of learning and teaching, I think it's the way to really be better prepared is to listen, as Professor Jing was also saying, and listening to students and listening to colleagues and learning from other experiences. And there's a lot of technology for that, because actually online learning is about sharing and about open source, and there's a lot of opportunities out there. And I think what is the challenge is to organize in a way, on a different way, much more open, also between universities to learn and respond better to the challenges we have today.
I really like this. Online is not necessarily just a channel for us to deliver content, but it's also for us to open the content that we develop as well. Thank you so much, Professor Carlo. Last but not least, I would like to welcome Professor Tian to give us your last words for those questions. And I think you might need to be unmuted as well, Professor Tian.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Enoch. Also, I would like to say something about both issues. I think in terms of collaboration, collaboration has never been as easy as it is now. Now we have conquered all the technological barriers in terms of sharing. So we have come up with ways, for example, for professors from art school to teach students how to do sculpture, right? Also, we have professors from engineering, teaching students how to do experiments, just with the help of the technology like Zoom, right? So we can share a lot, and now it's a great opportunity for collaboration also across disciplines. So Tsinghua University has always been focusing on liberal education, and liberal education is it's kind of it has the open spirit of connecting science and social science and art and liberal arts. So we actually, the professors now have a much more easy platform to collaborate. We do not have to be in the same space. We can share ideas using these virtual meetings, and we can organize our, teaching content. We can co-teach. So this has been much easier than before. So now it's the opportunity for us to really collaborate. And we have no reason to delay this any longer. And I think it would be great benefit also for the professors to gain the other's perspective. For example, I would like to invite professors from life sciences to come to my class and tell us about neural networks and how they study on the genetic level. I would like to invite professors from environmental science to talk to us about the connection from human to environment, to our to us and to our past and to our future. So all of these current modern issues that needs to be addressed are new issues that we were not taught for, that we didn't prepare for. But those are the issues that the future generations are facing right now. And this needs collaboration among us. Our responsibility is to come up with kind of methods and solutions for the future generation, for them to collaborate, for them to have the platform to do that. So then comes with the second comment on preparation. I think the most important thing to prepare for such crisis or for the new normal is to build communities. The communities not only among students, but also among faculties. So the Global MOOC Alliance is a community that allow us to actually share our frustration, share our problems, but more importantly, to share our experiences and our insights. And I find during the spring semester, during the online teaching time, it's very important to have the student community being built. So I would organize students to have their smaller sessions, just like Professor Bian has said. It works with smaller sessions when people know each other. even if it's only virtual environment. So people can actually know each other's names, they know each other's kind of background a bit, so then they can work together, you know, from a community level. So, and I would advise that, I would strongly advise that for the Global MOOC Alliance, that we also would build this personal connection to form a global kind of pedagogy community to face the how do we teach the future generation, the things that we haven't, we were not taught for, we didn't have answers for, but that, you know, we need to look out for those solutions together, and that needs collaboration and that needs community. Thank you very much, Enoch.
Thank you very much, Professor Chen. And with that said, I would like to thank you everyone for contributing to this conversation and your insights as well, particularly from University of Chile, Peking University, Catholic University of Chile, as well as Tsinghua University. And we hope this will be, as Professor Chen mentioned, this will be the beginning of many, many sharings between students, between faculty at the global level, locally, and more importantly, between different disciplines to solve real world problems. Thank you once again for all our panelists for the second panel. Thank you so much for all your time and consideration. Without further ado, we would like to move on to the third and the final section of this webinar. We spoke about our past, we talk about our future, we talk about our present, and it's now moved to our future. We're also trying to do something new, just like online education. And I think for the first time, at least for me to moderate any panel, that we invite students. As Professor Chen mentioned, we need to listen better to our students. So the third panel is about our future, transition beyond post-COVID-19 into the future of education. I would like to welcome all the students to now turn on your camera so we know you are here. And I would like each of the students, Sofia, David, Celia, and Yili, to briefly, just 1-2 sentences to introduce yourself, because I know all of you have participated in the China-Chile online education week in terms of all the courses. So I have David on at this moment. So why don't David, why don't you start first? Just say one or two sentences who you are.
Yeah, well, I'm from the University of Chile. I'm from the law school. I'm on my way out. This is my last year, I think, next year. So that's me.
Great, congratulations. And Yili, why don't you go next? I think you might need to be unmuted.
Sorry. Greetings from Beijing. I'm Yili, a doctoral student from Tsinghua University School of Life Science. Nice to see you guys.
Yili. And Yili being the mastermind, the teaching assistant for lots of our courses and helping us to make this happen. So thank you so much. Nice to see you again. Next, Sofia, why don't you briefly introduce yourself? 1-2 sentences.
Hi, I'm Sofia. I'm a second-year student in Natural Resources Engineering in the University of Chile. And yeah, thank you.
Great, excellent. Good morning. Happy to see you. Happy to meet you. And last but not least, Celia. Selena, sorry, apologies. Selena, why don't you introduce yourself? I see the Christmas tree behind you.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Selena, and I'm currently a fourth-year student at Tsinghua University. I'm majoring in Chinese language and literature and English language and literature. It's nice to meet everyone.
Great, fantastic. Nice to meet you too. So if I understand correctly, all of you have joined the China-Chile Online Education Week. Great, I am seeing notes. So what I would like, a very brief conversation as we're running slightly late. So really 2 questions. The first round is, we would love to hear directly, as you know, transparent and frank of all of our presenters just now. So what do you enjoy most, or what could be improved from your experience that you just had? We have 7 courses, 3 from China, 3 from University of Chile. what do you enjoy most, and possibly what could we improve what could be improve your learning experience? Why do we go with the order that we just had? David, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I would like to clarify. I took part on the APRU courses in one of the universities that was receiving guests, particularly in the Oregon University of Oregon. So I think what I liked most about the classes in general was the opportunity to to have a different perspective, a cultural and perspective of the society, and some of the challenges that our societies are facing at the present time. There's a big global experience, which is the pandemic, of course, but there's also a number of political events happening. In the US, for instance, it was the election. It was interesting to hear the students and the professor talking about this, because it provided a different angle that I wouldn't have had otherwise. Also, racial issues and other things that were discussed in class. So that was very good. And I think that the use of the English language, which is not, I would dare say, not the first language of anyone in this particular meeting, but it still works as a sort of lingua franca, like that language, that legendary language that the merchant had in the Mediterranean. But today it's a reality for us and an instrument that I like very, very much. About the things that could be improved, I would say that a lot of the challenges that I noticed were the same that we have in the classes at our home universities, with the use of these technologies, particularly when it comes to the participation of students. I like that if you're engaged, usually the teachers give you, the professor give you a space to interact and to speak your mind and all that. But there's a huge number of students that you don't know if they are there. And I think that impacts the learning of those students. And get them to participate and to share their concerns and be interested in the courses is something that I'm not quite sure how it can be improved, but it is a huge challenge. And also the loss of the sense of community that sometimes happens. I noticed that in my home university as well, that in a normal semester, you have a lot of instances when you're leaving class or to meet people and to feel like you're learning along with them and do things outside the classroom, but this is difficult during this time. So I think more could be done for professors within their courses to have engagement outside the classroom setting. We have a thing in law school that we have been doing this past year, which is a comedy debate society, and it's people from several classes, and we try to get professors involved, and it has allowed us to feel like we belong to the same university, to the same school, and that we are going through this together. But that's one thing of many that could be done. So yeah.
Thank you so much, David. I think it's a great reminder that I think English is none of our first language here, and still we are very grateful that we're able to have this dialogue. I think more importantly, you reminded us, particularly when I was a student, some of the most exciting conversations are the run-ins, right? Maybe the 5 minutes before class, or maybe when you run into a friend in a corridor. But now online classes, those unexpected moments is more rare. So I think it's very, very important feedback and how we recreate, not a campus, but how we recreate more of this moment to create communities. Thank you for your insights, David. And next, I'd like to go to Yidi. So what do you enjoy most? What was the best moment for online classes for you? And what we can improve?
As a student or TA?
TA maybe, TA. I think that would be interesting insights.
As a TA, I think the most moment I enjoyed is there's no restriction of location. I can work at home and anywhere I want. And I can cook during the class. The teacher don't know because I don't need to open the camera, right? And I only need to make sure that I'll be there when teacher needs me. Being teaching assistant actually let me join the class. Before online education, I only need to collect the housework and go to the classroom before class. That's all. But now I need to make a group, WeChat group, and I need to make sure that the class will go smooth by monitoring everything. I feel like I'm a Superman or Superwoman because I can always save my teacher from the disaster.
I think the convenience is important, but you are definitely a superwoman, particularly with the many courses. I think a lot of students need to be, I think they're very grateful and thankful for all the work of you and all the other TAs to make this happen as well. Thank you, Gili. Sofia, what's your take on this? What do you like best and how can we possibly improve?
I think that what I enjoyed the most was to learn a lot about the Asian culture because I took the course in the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and we really what we learned in the class we like correlated with the China history, which is not really taught in depth in the Chilean education. So learn about the culture, history, the dynasties. I didn't know anything of this, which may be very common for you, but for us it's not very common. So that's where I enjoy the most, to learn about the other cultures and different teaching methods that are really different from this side of the world. So yeah. And regarding to how it could be improved, I think is beyond the like this exchange program could be improving like online education level. It's to have more interactive lectures, like as they mentioned before, because sometimes when you have like all cameras turned off and you're not like paying fully attention, when you have resources like online resources available, like applications like Kahoot or stuff like that keep you engaged with the lecturer, I think is really important, because I've been in classes of 80 students, but they're too connected. But in other courses where you have the same amount of people, are 50 people connected because they have like interactive moments and which you can enjoy, so that improves your learning, which is like the main goal of university. So yeah.
Great. Thank you, Sofia, for your sharing. And I think I'm hearing something common between your sharing and David as well. I'm sure the Chilean professor are expert in academic sort of study and research. But what I'm hearing is that having this international or global online classes are able to give you a different perspective, are able to give you more practical aspect and lens into the topic itself, whether it is from an American perspective or whether it's from a Chinese perspective, and that would be able to add values to the academic contents that has been shared. I think that's definitely something very, very interesting that teaching faculty can take away from. Last but not least, Selena, would you like to share what works best for you and how else teaching faculty can improve?
Okay, so I would definitely say that this has been a really rewarding process. So at Tsinghua, many of our classes use like a hybrid version of like Rain Classroom and a Tencent meeting or a Zoomo or a Zoom. So I would say that each of these programs have like their own uses and each of and they have their own advantages. So for example, like a Tencent meeting or Zoomo or Zoom. So for this, we can turn on the microphone if we have like any questions to ask the teacher, or if we just want to just express our own opinions. And also with Zoom or Tencent meeting, we can turn on our camera so we can actually see the teacher and the class to know what is actually going on in class. On the other hand, for a Ring classroom, even though we aren't actually able to see the teacher or to actually speak out with our own opinions, for Ring classroom, the teachers can actually submit or like post survey questions or multiple choice questions, and then all of us students can answer those questions through Ring classroom. So with this, I would say that this is very advantageous because this can help. Because for example, like if everyone was in class, maybe only like 1 or 2 students would raise their hand and actually speak out. But with a Ring classroom, everyone will have to answer those questions. And then oftentimes the answers to those questions are very interesting, and these answers can actually raise a lot of discussion. And also another very useful tool with Ring classroom is that Ring classroom so in Ring classroom, we can actually mark the PowerPoint slides that we have a problem with. So later when we go back to review the class discussion, we could just go right to the slides that we have, maybe like we have troubles with. And then, yeah, so that'd be cool. And so, however, I would say that there are definitely some difficulties in regards to online education. For myself, because I'm in the US, there's a 12 or 13-hour time difference. So for me, like this semester, 2 of my classes are at 1:30 or 12:30 a.m. in the US. So with that, even though many of the professors will allow us to just look to tune in like later, I like the in-person interactions with the class and the teacher. So I would actually just sleep a little earlier and then just wake up to go to attend that class in real time. And also, especially last semester, this was better because since everyone was online. But this semester, I feel like that it is sometimes hard for teachers to actually make all of us students feel involved in the class. So especially like some teachers this semester will only use Ring classroom. With that, we can't really like turn on our microphones or actually see the class. So so sometimes we may feel like we're just not involved and we don't actually know what's going on. But overall, I think that the teachers have done a really good job to involve everyone. So that's it.
Thank you, Selena. What I'm hearing is, you know, there are many platforms, and I think that's always is a choice between a decentralized and a centralized, between many platforms and different function and all-in-one sort of choices as well. It have benefits, have disadvantages and advantages. Thank you for sharing, particularly from a student perspective, because you need to take different courses and there's different preference from different faculty members. My last final question, though we don't have a lot of time, I think a 30-second or 1 minute maximum response would be greatly appreciated. Though it's a very important question though. This particular webinar is called Envisioning a Shared Future for Higher Education. You all represent the future for higher education as a learner. And particularly, I know, for example, Yili, congratulations on the new baby recently. So then it is really the future, right? So therefore, what do you think? You know, what would higher education be like in 2030, or even in 50 years time? In 2070, like name one aspect of higher education that most excite you. Or that you want it to be in the future. Really exercise your brainstorming power. I'm going to throw this very difficult question to David first, and then we go through the same order. David.
Well, I think that in 10 years time, we are going to see the effects of something that is already happening, which is universities offering postgraduate courses online from universities and open to people from every country virtually. And I think that there's going to be a huge offer of these kind of programs, and it will set up some challenges. And I think it is attractive for universities, particularly the ones that I think this is a global phenomenon, that sometimes there are problems with financing, and universities are sometimes underfunded. And at least here in Chile, one part of the intake of money, it comes from postgraduate courses. So I think that being able to offer it to a wide market, it's going to be very attractive for them. But it also sets challenges. You have to see which programs are worthwhile or not, and all that. So I think in 10 years we are going to see that unfolding, that which is happening now, and we will see if it worked, how it worked, and what new problems came up from it.
Great, excellent. I think this is also a challenge, but also one of the initiatives that our Global MOOC Alliance are wanting to pursue in the near future. Thank you so much. Yili, for the benefit of this question, I want to skip and go to you last. So I'm going to head to Sofía for your intake. In 10 years, 20, 30, exercise your brainstorming power. What would higher education be like?
Yeah, it's really difficult to think, because the last year we realized we don't know what's going to happen next year. So, but yeah, and this year also proved us that all the information is right on our fingertip, and we have a lot of information in seconds. So I think it's important to propose an education where we are taught like practical methods, more than memorize some stuff, because some classes are developing that way. So to show a more practical learning, and in a globalized context, because we realize we need to be connected. We need to face, in this case, the pandemic as world, as one group. We are not going to save like our country or just one piece of the world. We have to work together. And I think that is really important, to develop connections. And this week is really like the proof that we are ahead of many other relations. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Sophia. And I think this also is related somehow to exam and assessment as well, in terms of how being taught, etc. Thank you so much. Selena, your take on this. In 10, 20, 30 years time, what would higher education be like?
I mean, it's really hard to actually like think of like future like that long ahead. But I think that eventually, like maybe like many classes would completely be online. Like and then with that, then people from all over the world, we can all like learn like the same thing, and that way maybe like everyone will actually feel more connected and more as one. As what Sophia just said, we should all like, especially during the pandemic, we should all tackle this thing as one. So with like online education, I think that it'll help everyone to like learn the same thing, to understand the same thing, and maybe through all of our different cultures and perspectives, view education as like a very important thing that can help that, yeah, that can, so then we can all like express our different opinions into that same topic, or into that same, yeah, into that same topic. And maybe like even like in class, like in-person teaching, we can still use like a hybrid version of both online teaching and in person. That way we can take advantage of like both aspects. So yeah.
Excellent. I think it's the idea of embracing diversity, whether it is with the modality of learning or with thoughts and opinions. Thank you so much. Last but not least, I would like to go to our superwoman, Yili. What kind of university would you like your kids going into? I think that's also a very practical question. But what exactly is higher education like for your kid going forward, Yili? You might need to be unmuted.
About the university, I was thinking the last
1 minute.
Yeah. My kid, yeah. I wish she can learn anything she wants in the future. But can you answer the last question?
Yes, sure. 1 minute.
Yeah, it's actually this. I hope in the future, the higher education, there will be more intelligence. I hope there will have lots of intelligent assistant. They can answer the question that the teacher, maybe when teacher having class, they might have some problem like troubleshooting. They need the teaching assistant to help them, right? But not every teaching assistant, they can solve the problem. So I hope someday, maybe in 2030, they will have lots of intelligent assistant. They can solve the problem and make sure the class will go smooth. And I also hope there will have no language barrier anymore. Like in our meeting app, you can use the interpretation, right? But you also need interpreter. I hope someday we can use automatic interpretation like Xunfei in China. It will more skilled. And the last one is I hope someday, this is what Alliance do. They will eliminate the unequal educational source distribution. Then my daughter, she can learn everything in China, in any university, not only in Tsinghua University or Harvard University like this.
Right, excellent. Yili, thank you so much. I think this is a beautiful wrap up for our panel session. I would like to hear thanks once again, David, Sofía, Yili, and Selena for all your participation, your thoughts, and hopefully we'll see and converse again in 2030 and see what would higher education be like then. Thank you once again. Goodbye for now. I would like to now move on to the final closing remark of this webinar. I do understand we're running slightly late and we apologize. I would like to now welcome for the closing remark the Associate Dean of the Office of Lifelong Education Administration and the Associate Dean of the Undergraduate Academic Affairs Office at Tsinghua University. I would like to welcome Ms. Xiaoxiao Wang for the closing remarks.
Thank you, Enoch. And thanks all for the great presentations and sharing. And I believe this is a very valuable moment for us to deepen our mutual understanding. First, I would like to thank Professor Vera and Taotao. Without their help, we could not have our China online week. Well, yeah, okay. And the University of Chile as our founding member. I would also like to thank Ms. Tang Danyang for her excellent work in coordinating our domestic partners. I would like to thank my colleagues from Tsinghua, PKU, Shanghai Jiao Tong, Zhejiang University. Without your lasting support, we could not be here together. Last but not least, I would like to thank Enoch, a very professional moderator for most of all our webinars, and more importantly, he is a key person in the establishment of Global MOOC Alliance. While one of the most crucial and valuable experiences we have learned from COVID-19 is that online education could release the potential for global collaboration, as many of you mentioned. Students could have much easier access to a remote virtual classroom. It's easy to understand during the spring semester after the outbreak of the COVID-19, because all courses are fully online in China and almost in the whole world. And during the summer, Tsinghua undertook classroom renovation, and more than 140 classrooms have been equipped with cameras, microphones to let online students to be immersed into the similar learning environment as offline students and could be involved in the discussion smoothly. Another example is that with online learning, our Chile-China Online Education Week became a great success with hundreds of students enrollment for 7 courses. Today, I'm very excited to hear the response from students of our both sides, and I found we need to do more to enhance your learning experiences and outcomes. However, we should also be aware of the challenges for us at present, as mentioned by many of you, which we could work together to conquer them in the future together. The first is that given the global learners, we need to be more aware of the time differences, which require us to pay attention to the curriculum arrangement, and we need to be more aware of the digital divide as students are facing different technical challenges across the globe. The second is to raise faculty's awareness to better integrate asynchronous and synchronous educational resources. Currently, online teaching and learning making us focus on the interaction between faculty and students and among students. Faculty should realize that the core part of teaching and learning is interaction and communication. And third is giving increasing demand for interaction during COVID-19 period. We find it's crucial for young learners not only to study together, but work together to solve some common challenges. We should make most of our online technology to stimulate the cooperation among students. We're very pleased to have the first official event for our 6 founding members, also including Xuetang X, which is doing live streaming of this event for the global promotion. Looking forward to our deeper cooperation in the near future on courses sharing, knowledge sharing, etc. I believe collaboration could help to build a more open, integrative, and more resilient university for more inclusive quality education. Thank you for your listening and wish you a prosperous new year. Keep healthy, my colleagues and my friends. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Xiaoxiao Wang. Last but not least, I would like to welcome the Vice President of Academic Affairs at University of Chile, Professor Rosa Deves, for the final remarks of this entire wonderful event. Professor.
Thank you very much, Enoch. It is a great pleasure to be able to address these closing remarks to this very wonderful seminar about the past, present, and future of online education. In our discussion, we have not only shared ideas and practices, but also values and even feelings, setting the basis of a common future. During the pandemic, the world has become, in a certain sense, smaller. We are closer together, paradoxically opposite to the social distancing. And thus, at the same time, the world, or because of this, the world has also become greater. We have accomplished achievements that did not seem possible before because of collaboration, such as the vaccine development, for example, that shows us that things can be done better, faster, and more importantly than before. Cultures that before would appear distinct and self-sufficient are now understood as complementary and interdependent. We have brought together knowledge, capacities, but also a renewed sense of community. We have learned and exposed our fragilities and also offered our strengths to others. We have listened. It has been time to it is time to celebrate knowledge, science, creativity, and cooperation. It is no longer a lonely journey, as it was said. Thank to all of you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you, Enoch, for this wonderful and extraordinary moderation that you kept during this meeting. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Professor, for your wise words and kind praises for everyone who make this happen. During this webinar, this 2.5 hours, we spoke about our past, our present, our future. We've heard from administrator, teaching faculty, and students. And what we would like to do at this point is like to thank the co-organizer for this event. We'd like to thank University of Chile. I'd like to thank Catholic University of Chile and Tsinghua University, and all the speakers from all the universities who participated in this. And I sincerely wish, as we celebrate the last 50 years, this will be the first of many, many conversations, dialogues, and exchange for the next 50 years and beyond. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening. Thank you. Bye for now.